It's time for another episode of I Am Northwest Arkansas, the podcast covering the intersection of business, culture, entrepreneurship, and life in general here in the Ozarks. Whether you are considering a move to this area or trying to learn more about the place you call home, we've got something special for you. Here's our host, Randy Wilburn.
Hey folks, and welcome back to another episode of I Am Northwest Arkansas. Listen, I know this is not my normal environment. I'm not in a studio at KUAF. I am at a guest of the podcast location, and that location is the Botanical Gardens of the Ozarks. And I'm quite ashamed to say that this place, first of all, this place is absolutely gorgeous. That's number one. Number two, I literally live 3 minutes away from here. And I've ridden by it a million times because it's right off the Razorback Greenway Trail that runs through Lake Fayetteville. And it's just easy to get to right off a crossover 265 for those of you that know streets by numbers. But it is an absolutely gorgeous space. It's actually a place where you can really come and contemplate life. That's just what I feel like being here. And so I say all that to say that I'm excited to finally get here and sit down with the wonderful folks from the Botanical Gardens of the Ozarks. And we decided we were going to do this as a video so that you could see it. We are actually in, what do they call this?
It's the Butterfly House.
The Butterfly House.
Yes.
And this young lady next to me is Lane Berrey. And Lane is the communications manager. And she was kind enough to arrange a time for us to sit down and talk about the Botanical Garden of the Ozarks and why this is what I would call a hidden gem of Northwest Arkansas. Mm-hmm. And for those of you that are moving here, I just want you to see what you're about to move into and what is available to you. Yes. For those of you that live here, if you've never been here, then you need to come. And we'll talk more about that and why. But we are sitting in this sanctuary for beautiful butterflies. There are monarch butterflies, spice bush, swallowtail. I'm just reading off a sign here. I don't know the names of butterflies. I know a monarch butterfly, and off of my left shoulder over here, there's a bunch of caterpillars that will eventually morph into butterflies. And I love the whole concept of just the life of a butterfly.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? In terms of just, it's like we go through these stages where we don't necessarily look good to ourselves or to other people, but eventually we blossom and become something bigger than ourselves.
You are contemplating life today.
Yes.
You are contemplating life.
I am. So listen, folks, I want you to welcome Lane Berrey to the podcast. And Lane, thank you so much for having us here. We really, really appreciate it. And I think folks are going to get something out of it. So why don't you just introduce yourself to our audience and tell us a little bit about who you are, and then we'll get into the Botanical Gardens of the Ozarks.
Yeah, so I'm the communications manager here. I've worked here for about 2 years now, and I absolutely love it. Obviously, it's a very fun place to work. Our breaks and lunches, we can go out and, enjoy what, most people don't get to enjoy during the day. And I love telling people about it. Like you said, it is a hidden gem for a lot of people that do live in Fayetteville or in Northwest Arkansas in general. And it's exciting to see people's faces. Like, you, for the first time you come, people are shocked that it's right in the middle of town. It's right in the middle of Fayetteville, right by Lake Fayetteville, like you said. So, I love welcoming people in and telling them things that they may not know and activities that we do.
I mean, I knew it was nice. I literally, when folks listen, when you hear me say this, I have literally ridden by this place not 1,000 times, but at least 500 times. I've been on that trail, especially during the pandemic. I was on the trail every day, and I would ride up to Rogers and get my 30 miles in. And I got to say, I had no idea that this was all here and, available for people to really take in.
We definitely like being by the trail and by the lake.
It is. Yeah. It's great. It's perfect. You have a wonderful parking space. Mm-hmm. Where cars can park. There's a light right by the entrance. It's perfect. It really is. It's definitely perfect. So tell us about the history of this botanical garden and why, people should really come down here and check it out.
So how it got started is very interesting. A lot of botanical gardens start with some sort of endowment, but we just started off with basically a group of friends who loved gardening. So it was just this small group, maybe 10 to 12 people, that we got incorporated in 1997. And then with a lot of hard work, opened up to the public in 2007. So we have not been around for too long, about 15, 16 years now. But we've accomplished a lot in that amount of time.
I mean, yeah. I mean, so basically this grew out of somebody saying, I don't have the space in my backyard to really do what I want to do.
Yeah.
I need something more.
Yeah.
And so this is more.
Yes.
This definitely is more.
Yeah.
So
it was actually started to sort of inspire people to take what they learn here to exactly that, get inspired, and then take it back home with them, either to start gardens in their own home or just be inspired to take better care of our planet.
yeah.
So those are the two things that we hope people get from visiting here.
Yeah, I love it. And so, and then what I like about it too is that you guys have it set up into different stations or areas.
Yeah.
Can you talk just a little bit about that? And what would somebody that is coming here for the first time, what would they encounter?
So those actually started with, we had friendly competition of different designers and landscape architects and artists. And so they submitted the designs. We have 12 individual theme gardens. So it's kind of meant for whatever type of gardening you are interested in. You'll hopefully find something that fits with your interests and then kind of just what your outdoor space has to offer. Like we have a shade garden. So if you have a ton of shade, you can learn what plants that you like from that garden. We have a vegetable garden. So if you're kind of into like homesteading and growing your own produce, we have, offerings for that. We have we have a butterfly garden. So if you want a lot of pollinators to come, you want to see these native butterflies that you see in the butterfly house, you can take a look at what plants we have in each of the gardens and tailor it to what you want it to look like in your own backyard.
Yeah, I love that. And there was a Japanese garden.
Yeah, Japanese
really
garden,
nice.
rock and
Is there a
water
Japanese
garden.
maple there?
Yes, we've got some Japanese maples around.
Okay, yeah, I love those. I love those trees. Those are really nice and they're quite ornamental. And I don't dare say that they're easy to grow, but they are really beautiful trees to look at.
Oh, yeah.
That's for sure.
For sure.
So I like that concept. So do you have a lot of people that come and maybe get ideas about what they want to create in their gardens?
Yep.
And how do you educational programs where people can kind of come in and, because I mean, I would need help. I mean,
most people do.
I have a green thumb and my wife hates it. Shout out to Nicola, but she hates all the plants that I have at the house. My kids hate all the plants that I have at the house. But I do have a green thumb, but I still need guidance.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So we offer tours throughout the year with our horticulture team. So those experts will bring you around. Sometimes we'll tailor it like a butterfly walk and talk, bee walk and talk if you're wanting to attract pollinators, or just general tours of the garden where they can point out specific plants. You can ask your questions. And then we offer various types of classes throughout the year. So usually those are a little bit more specific to certain kinds of plants, but we'll even have down to garden practices like pruning classes and things like that, vegetable gardening classes. So you can learn some new skills.
Well, I mean, it is an art.
Oh, yeah.
It is an art form. I mean, well, when you think of gardening in general, it's an art form, but especially if you're gardening for sustenance versus just gardening for beauty, right?
Yeah.
And I
all
guess
different kinds of gardening.
There really is. And I mean, even gardening for sustenance, I don't know about you, but when I walk into somebody's backyard and they have a really nice garden and you see these really huge tomatoes growing and cantaloupes and other stuff, I mean, it is pleasing to the eye.
Oh, yeah.
Because you're really reminded of how amazing nature is and how everybody has the ability and opportunity to grow their own garden.
For sure. For sure. Everyone can. Everyone can, even if you don't, think you have a green thumb. We'll even have succulent classes. So starting you off with the very basics of they need the least amount of upkeep and work.
Yeah.
So we're just excited to get we're excited to get other people excited. That's why we offer a lot of children's programs too. We've got our Little Sprouts and Garden Buds and all kinds of programs for kids. We've got summer camps throughout the summer. Field trips come year round during the school year. So we even try to start our Northwest Arkansas kiddos on this same train young.
Yeah. So then would you say that this garden is utilized year round?
Oh, yeah.
Easily?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Even in the winter months?
Yes. In the winter, it does slow down just by nature of the weather. But yeah, we definitely try to, keep it beautiful and keep it useful for people to still learn things even in the wintertime.
Where do all the butterflies go in the winter?
The butterflies will take their winter's nap in the winter.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
But they are out and about right now.
They are. And I'm sure some of you are seeing them behind me, those of you that are watching the video, which is kind of cool. I mean, again, just looking around and all the different types of. So do you have, and I know we've talked to other people on the podcast about like a lot of the native plants to Arkansas. Do you have a section that highlights, or are native plants just throughout the garden?
Kind of both. Native plants are scattered throughout the garden, but we do have a Ozark native garden. That's one of the 12 themed gardens.
Yeah.
So the Northwest Arkansas master naturalists help with that. They're all into the native plants and everything in there. You can, they're native to the Ozarks. This a native butterfly house. So we don't have any tropical butterflies. It's just butterflies you'd see
Around
out and
here.
about. Yep.
Talk to our audience a little bit about what the importance of native growing, right? Because I mean, there is something to be said for, it's one thing to grow a banana plant or some tropical plant here in Arkansas that the weather will allow it to grow. But then there's a whole nother thing to grow native species of plants here in Arkansas, especially in your yards.
Yeah.
Can you talk a little bit about the value of that?
Well, so first of all, we just want to conserve our native plants. We don't want them to get overrun by invasive species.
Yeah.
And then second of all, they're much easier to grow because they're already acclimated to this climate.
Yeah.
And then they're environmentally friendly. So because they're acclimated to the climate, they take less water, less upkeep. So yeah.
I love that. Yeah. And I've talked to quite a few people, and sometimes it's the little things that we can do in our yards specifically to get rid of invasive species and try to plant and grow species that exist here. And there's actually, there's all kinds of wildflowers, and Arkansas has a wonderful ecosystem of plants. When you become aware of it, you're like, oh my gosh, I had no idea.
Yeah. Yeah. So you could get a great idea when you come here, look at all the plants we have, kind of the things that we're attracting, and see what grows well, seeing what's growing well. So we even monitor what does well, what doesn't do so well.
Yeah.
So that's useful information for people to know for sure.
So somebody watching this and is thinking, man, I would love to become a part of what they're doing. Talk a little bit about ways that people can get involved, both on their knees with a garden spade as well as like just physically coming out and participating. Because I'm even watching people as they're watching us in this, beautiful sanctuary here. They're coming in to take advantage of it. But just talk a little bit about what types of membership and what options are available to people that come here.
So yes, we have our membership. You can come when you're a member. You can come anytime for free. Those kids programs I talked about, all free for members. They get discounts and perks to different events. We're part of the American Horticulture Society, their reciprocal garden program. So you can visit over 360 other gardens or arboretums across the United States. So we just encourage people to go get inspired elsewhere too. And then it comes down to also volunteering. People learn a lot by just being a horticulture volunteer. Those tours happen, year round, and you can go get that expertise when you go on a tour. But you can also just learn from our horticulture team coming out to volunteer.
Really? And what do you get to do as a volunteer?
Anything they want you to do.
Anything they want you to do. Okay.
So mulching, planting, pulling, weeds, harvesting. Yards. Oh, yeah.
So you can get a free education on horticulture,
you can get a free,
right here.
I like to tell people that. It helps us out too, but you'll also learn something in the process.
I love that. I love that. Yeah, I may have to take you up on that. Again, since I'm so close, because there's just so much to be done here. Mm-hmm. So what are also some like cool things that people wouldn't know about the Botanical Garden of the Ozarks that they should be aware of?
I kind of remember growing up thinking a botanical garden was a little bit more like boring or just for adults. But I like to tell people it's shocking the amount of people that come in and say, I didn't know my kids would have so much fun here. Like one of our gardens is dedicated to children. Yep. So there's things to climb and crawl through and learn about and really tailored to those younger kids that come. That's why we focus so much on our kids' educational programming as well. So don't think of it as an old, stuffy, boring place. Yeah. There's things that are interesting to people of all ages here for sure.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I remember growing up, and those that the regular listeners of the podcast know that I grew up right outside of New York City, but we used to take field trips to the New York Botanical Gardens.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And it was phenomenal.
Oh, yeah.
I would love, and we used to always do it in the wintertime.
Oh.
And that's what was amazing because a lot of it was indoors and they were able to sustain and keep so much indoors and you just don't realize what's available.
Yeah.
And I think that's really kind of cool. But the thing that I like about this is that, you have manicured landscape here. Mm-hmm. It's just everywhere you go, there's places where people can walk and sit. There's shade. There are benches everywhere.
Yeah.
People I would imagine that people just come in here and contemplate life.
Oh, definitely. Definitely. We definitely have some regulars like members. You can come anytime for free. So why wouldn't you come take your lunch break, go on a walk? We offer sometimes things throughout like the summer. Every Tuesday night we'll stay open later. Different events, you can stay open later. So yeah, people come after work.
So talk about membership. I mean, what's membership? What does it cost? What does it afford you? What do you get for that?
So besides that, just free admission to, the kids programs, all the other gardens, signature events, things like that. You'll be invited to a private garden tour.
Okay.
And then
you guys are a 501c3?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah,
So
we are a nonprofit.
Any donations made go. Yeah. Okay. That's
so
cool.
Yeah. And then down to just by you becoming a member, you are supporting our work and our mission and just the upkeep of the garden as well.
Okay.
So yeah, there's different levels if you're an individual, if you're two people, and then if you're a family.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Cool. Well, yeah, we'll put all of that in the show notes so people can learn a little bit more about how they can get involved with the Botanical Garden of the Ozarks. And I love that natural sound in the back that you hear. Those are some of the residents of the Botanical Garden of the Ozarks, chiming in to say that you need to listen to the I Am Northwest Arkansas podcast as much as humanly possible. But no, seriously, it is really nice to kind of see this space in an area that is growing so rapidly, right? And that when you think about how Northwest Arkansas is growing, sometimes we don't take a second to sit back and stop and smell the roses.
Oh, yeah.
So,
yeah. I like that.
Yeah. So that's something that I think you have an opportunity to do at the Botanical Gardens. Now, I noticed that you have a wonderful gazebo.
Yes.
There are a lot of places where you could do a lot of things. So I know that you host a really big event annually here.
Yes.
And that's an event, and I don't know the name of it, but it's an event where there's a bunch of chefs that come in.
Yes, that's Chefs in the Garden.
Chefs in the Garden. Oh,
yeah.
Aptly named. I mean,
sense.
perfect. Yeah.
Yeah.
And some really good people make some really amazing food right here. And you get to and that's like one of your biggest events. Is that a fundraising event?
Yes, that's a fundraiser. Yeah.
Okay.
So that's our biggest fundraiser. That's something that people know us for sure.
Okay.
But we actually have a lot of events throughout the year. We're coming up in July. We'll have our Firefly Fling with real life mermaids and fairies and fire dancers and a laser light show. So people can kind of get to know the magic of the outdoors.
Sure.
We'll have an international festival where we invite the different cultures of Northwest Arkansas to come. That'll be later in the summer.
Okay.
We've got an annual plant sale, Earth Day festival. So we've got
when's the plant sale?
The plant sale was in April.
Okay,
so you missed the plant sale.
I missed that. But it's once a year you do that. Okay.
Yeah. We may have a little pop up in the summer, so keep up with our website. But we usually have some sort of signature event upcoming within every month, every other month.
Okay. All right. Well, so there's so much to do. So you've got this wonderful, they have fundraisers, but then also you can get married here.
You can. And a lot of people do. Yeah.
Really?
We're usually booked up. So go ahead and give us a call. Yeah. If you're interested in that. We have different packages. So some people will just my dad got married here.
Oh,
yeah. So he had what we call a simple wedding. So that's just, a small group of friends and family, the couple, obviously, a photographer. So you can do that. You can pick one of the gardens that you really love to get married in. He picked the shade garden since it was so hot.
Yeah, absolutely. It'd be nice to have some shade right now, but that's okay. That's another story. So,
and then you can get married right on the Great Lawn. So if you've got a big party, you've got all your friends and family coming, you can get married right under our beautiful arbor. Use our Great Lawn space.
What's the largest wedding you've hosted? Do you know?
That's a great question. We can fit thousands of people in here. So I don't know if any of them have been that big, but you can definitely get everybody in.
And I've noticed that I've come through here where that parking lot is jam-packed.
Oh, yeah.
Where else can people park when they come here?
Yes. So we have a field just south of the garden.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you'll just kind of keep going down that highway and then take the next right instead of the first one into the parking lot.
Okay. I got you.
Yeah. So we've got the whole parking thing set up. Yeah. We've got, sometimes we'll have, up to 4,000 or 5,000 people here, especially for international festival.
That's a lot.
Oh, yeah.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
So, wow. There's so much going on here in Northwest Arkansas. Are you from here originally?
I'm from Tulsa.
You're from Tulsa.
Yes,
so, okay.
But I went to school here and I just stayed and I love it.
You never left?
Nope, never left.
Wow.
Yeah.
So I'm curious to know, growing up in Tulsa, what did you think about Northwest Arkansas? Or what were your thoughts before you actually came here to go to school?
I remember thinking there were so many trees here because I just lived on a plain.
Yeah.
I just lived on, you can see for miles. So I love the hills and the trees and water features. And to bring it back here, that's what you can see here. We try to take those elements of the Ozarks and bring it back to right here in Fayetteville.
Well, yeah. And that's the thing. Like you said, and I go to Tulsa a lot. My son plays travel soccer, so we're there all the time. And the topography is so different between Tulsa and here.
Yeah.
And because people were calling me when they heard about the tornadoes.
Yes.
And I was like, well, and unfortunately, as we're recording this, we're just a couple of weeks after we had a deadly tornado hit Rogers and Bentonville and some other areas. Fayetteville has typically dodged the bullet for the most part because of the hills and the mountain area.
Yeah.
And people don't realize how actually the elevation changes that happen right here in this area. And so you're kind of right where this botanical garden is. It's kind of like right at the foot of a hill. And if you just go south a little bit, you'll end up going up some. And then, and you go north, you kind of go down a little bit. So it's interesting to see the topography of this area as you get to know Northwest Arkansas and kind of see what it's all about. Yeah. So you came here after school, you never left. And what would you tell somebody that's thinking about moving to Northwest Arkansas about this area?
Ooh, about this area? I would say great people. And maybe if this is the hidden gem of Fayetteville, then Northwest Arkansas is the hidden gem of Arkansas.
There you go. I love that. It is. It is the Northwest. It is the hidden gem of Arkansas. Yeah. But I would tell somebody that, the beauty of the Botanical Gardens that, Fayetteville is not the only city that lays claim to this. Springdale, Rogers, Bentonville, Bella Vista, people from all, because I know people all the way up in Bella Vista that come down here with some regularity. So I want to encourage anybody listening to this that's throughout the greater Northwest Arkansas area, you need to come down to the Botanical Garden and check it out for yourself, because I think you'll really, really enjoy it. It's kind of hidden, nestled over here off of 265, but it's easy to get to. And actually, if you want to avoid the traffic on 49, you can come straight down 265 from Bentonville through Rogers,
come all
through
the way
Springdale,
down.
and you hit it. It's right there.
Yep, we're right off the highway.
Yeah, there's a lot of easy ways to get there. What's the website if people want to come check you guys out and learn a little bit more? It's
bgozarks.org.
Okay.
And then we're on Facebook and Instagram, and we do a lot of our updates there as well.
Okay, so bgozarks.org. You're on Facebook and Instagram. We'll put all of that in the show notes and make sure that people know how to connect. And certainly, if you come down here and decide to get a membership, please let Lane and the rest of her team know that you heard about it first here on the I Am Northwest Arkansas podcast. Give us a shout out. Yeah. And just let them know that, hey, we wanted to take advantage of this beautiful place and really see what it's all about. And I think you will not be disappointed. Matter of fact, I'm willing to put this out. It's a guarantee. I'm willing to put this out there. If you come to this Botanical Gardens and you don't like it, just see me and we can have a talk about it. And I don't necessarily say I'll refund your entrance fee, but we will. I will try to get to a better understanding of what you didn't like about this beautiful place. So, and of course, I don't want you to upset any of the wonderful butterflies that are around and behind me, because I got to tell you, this room is simply, it is just so relaxing to see. So, but this is great. But Lane, I really appreciate you taking the time out today to kind of walk us through a little bit about the Botanical Gardens of the Ozarks and what you guys are doing. You guys are doing great work here. And to see something that came out of a volunteer effort. Oh, yeah. That is now something that everybody in Northwest Arkansas can enjoy. Yeah. That's huge. Oh, yeah. So I really appreciate it. Thank you so much for doing what you do as a communications director for the rest of your team here at the Botanical Gardens of the Ozarks. And we want to, again, encourage you. If you come here and are really impacted the way that I am, you need to become a member or donate to the Botanical Garden of the Ozarks, because every little bit helps. So I certainly want to encourage people to do that. Yeah. But listen, I want to thank you again so much for allowing this place to be the backdrop for this special podcast episode today. Yeah, well, thank you so much. Yeah. I can't wait to see everybody there. Yeah, can't wait to see you here. Absolutely. So, well, there you have it, folks. Another episode of the I Am Northwest Arkansas podcast. Remember, to learn more about us, you can visit us on our website at iamnorthwestarkansas.com. You can check us out on Instagram. You can check us out on Facebook, even on LinkedIn. We have so many places where you can go and become part of the I Am Northwest Arkansas community. Remember, if you want to listen to the podcast, we're both on YouTube. Please subscribe there, but you can also check us out on Apple, Spotify, every major podcasting platform. And, just in case you're not sure of the cadence of this podcast, we have an episode every Monday. Hey. So, definitely check it out. We've been going strong for 5 years now. Oh, my gosh. So, every Monday we release a brand new episode, rain or shine, of the I Am Northwest Arkansas podcast. And remember, it's the whole purpose of covering the intersection of business, culture, entrepreneurship, and life. And what you guys are doing here at the Botanical Garden of the Ozarks is all about living life to its fullest.
Oh, yeah.
So I love that. So thank you so much for allowing us to be a part of what you guys are doing right here in Northwest Arkansas. Listen, folks, we have another great episode coming up for you next week. Remember, if you really like this podcast, you should share it with a friend. Sharing is caring, and we're always here to serve your needs. So reach out to us at hello@IamNorthwestArkansas.com with any questions or comments. And we look forward to seeing you soon. If we're out on the street somewhere and you see us recording or you see us doing something out in the community, please holler at us and let us know that you listen to the podcast. We really appreciate all of you. I'm Randy Wilburn, the host of the I Am Northwest Arkansas podcast, and we'll see you next week. Peace.
We hope you enjoyed this episode of I Am Northwest Arkansas. Check us out each and every week, available anywhere that great podcasts can be found. For show notes or more information on becoming a guest, visit IamNorthwestArkansas.com. We'll see you next week on I Am Northwest Arkansas.